Welcome back to the Strong Opinion Hibs podcast. This is episode 58, and as always, I am Jack. No Calvin joining us tonight, but I'm joined by the beard, Charlie. How are you, Charlie, mate?
Mate, what more can I say than I'm class. Hibs men are in the semi-final of the cup, and Hibs women won 7-1 yesterday. So I'm fantastic, mate. How are you?
I am good. Obviously, some no very good news in regards to the women's team, but we'll talk about that later that we've just got through. But yeah, excellent. Motherwell, Nash is raging. Two fantastic wins into the semi-finals off to Hampden yet again, and an excellent win for Hibs. And great to get down and see all the players again. And obviously, I'm famous now, speaking to Leanne Crichton again. So there you go. That job on Sports Scene's not too far away.
Leanne after telly.
Exactly. So we'll just jump right into it, and of course we'll talk about a men's game against Motherwell at Fir Park. That was an excellent win. Obviously, we're into the semi-finals. Maloney getting through to Hampden at the first time of asking for him. Obviously, not the first time he's been there, as we mentioned before, as a coach, but first time as Hibs manager, which is great for him. So we'll start off, Charlie, mate. And what was your reaction to the starting 11 when it came out?
Very positive, mate. I was really happy with the team. It was a strange one seeing Macy back in because I didn't think Dabrowski's done anything wrong. But apart from that, Joe Newell being back in, superb. And Melkerson starting was exactly what I'd hoped for. So I never really had any complaints with the team. The only perhaps not complaint, but sense of confusion was perhaps why Macy was back in and where Doyle Hayes was. But I think Maloney alluded to that in his interview after the game, that he'd maybe picked up a knock last week and just wasn't ready. So no, I thought it was a positive team, mate. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I'm the same. I thought it was a really positive team. Great to see Melkerson starting. I thought that would maybe be the case after our sort of problems with putting the ball in the back of net against St Johnstone. That I thought, well, we've had a few 0-0s. Melkerson's a young, hungry player, so maybe Maloney will finally see fit to give him the chance. So, yeah, it was great to see Melkerson start. I was surprised that Dabrowski didn't get given the opportunity, but fair play, because I think for me, Macy did all the basics right in the game. I don't think a lot of people are blaming him for Motherwell's goal, but I don't think Macy could have really done anything differently there. But we'll touch on that later. But yeah, it was great to see Newell return as well, because I think we were obviously, me and you were speaking to him outside Easter Road after the St John's game, and he said he was hoping he'd be back for Motherwell, and he was, which absolutely fair play to him. Because Maloney said he was maybe a bit worried that he wouldn't be ready until our trip up to Pit Audrey, but fair play to Joe. It was great to see him back. I think he always provides something that a bit extra to the midfield that we need. Joe's a good player. We've been seeing that out of him recently, more than proved himself recently. So great to see Joe in there as well. So yeah, overall a very positive starting 11, and also the strongest one we could have put out as well for me.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll move on. And what two positives did we learn from that game, Charlie?
If you've got a striker running across the goal, you're likely to get a shot on target or a goal, and I think that's what we've missed recently. I think Nisbet was getting there before his unfortunate injury, but we're not getting that for Deutsch. So having Melkerson, who's hungry, is class. And I think another thing that I learned from the game is that Dre Wright has the potential to slot in wherever he's asked and put in a shift. I thought he was cracking yesterday. Probably his best game in a Hibs shirt. But that'll not suit some people's narratives, like I tweeted yesterday. But I think Dre Wright and Melkerson were two positive things that I learned from the game yesterday, that they can offer us something a wee bit different, especially Melkerson, because he's young, he's hungry, and he wants to put the ball in the net, and he done that twice. So, that was sort of the things that I learned that are positive.
Yeah, my two positives. First one is we've got a fight and a sort of desire about us that I've not seen in quite a little while. And I want to bring back to the fact that when the Mugabe incident happened, and we'll talk about that, this sort of our next point, but when the Mugabe, how all the players were crowding at Willie Collum, protesting, we've been needing that. We've been needing a bit of fight about the team, that when somebody goes down, you know, you've got to. I think for me, you've got to ask for a decision. You've got to go. You know and to be fair, unlike what some people from a certain TV program on BBC Scotland were saying, there's some stupid thing about Colum was going for the yellow, then decided to go for the. He wasn't. He was going right into that top pocket all day long. All day long, he's going straight for the red. I think it's good that they were surrounding him, going, "Oh, come on, that's ridiculous." We've been needing that. We've been needing that fighting desire, and also the fighting desire that even when Motherwell got the goal back, I think a Jack Ross team or a Heckingbottom team, and even a Neil Lennon team probably would have, you know, sort of. I want to say shat the bed, to use a technical term. I think honestly, a Neil Lennon, a Heckingbottom, or a Jack Ross team, or maybe even a Stubbs team would have not reacted to that well. But
there's something different about this team.
Yeah, it's like,
and I think it flows from how good defensively we are just now.
Exactly.
Exactly. And you're right, mate. I think so many times you would have seen that with the previous regime where you concede and then you're squeaky bum time. But I think I completely agree, mate. I think we have something different about us defensively just now, which is what we've been asking for all season. Yeah. We conceded yesterday, but that was the first game we've conceded in a long time.
Yeah, we looked solid, and that's it. And that was all. It all comes back to what I was saying about that fight. So that was number one. Number two positive for me, and it's sort of piggybacking off of what you said, but I was going to say this anyway. Is Dre right? You know, I think a lot of the Boo boys don't like Dre. It doesn't suit, like you said, it doesn't suit narratives when Dre plays well. I thought he slotted in there. Yeah, definitely one of, if not the best performances he's putting in a Hibs shirt. He's become a new man under Sean Maloney. You can tell that he really wants to sort of take the bull by the horns, if you like, and really take his opportunity. And he's done that. You know, he was unlucky not to score yesterday for me. That was an excellent shot, and he was just very unlucky that Kelly was sort of wise to it. So for me, yeah, and he was also very aware. Dre Wright was very aware yesterday for me. So yeah, those are my two positives. So we'll talk about the red card, the one that's caused so much ire and sort of split people down the middle. Bevis Mugabe, shocking challenge on Josh Doig, very deserving of a red card for me. So Charlie, what were your thoughts on that?
It's funny, I've seen Rangers fans saying it's never a red card. Well, if Ryan Porteous does that tackle, you're claiming for a red card, and you did in October. And there's certain pundits that again claimed for a red card in October when Porteous done it. So if that's a red card, Mugabe's is a red card. You either give them all as red cards or you didn't give them as red cards. It's as simple as that. And you know, the fact that Josh Doig went to hospital yesterday tells you that that's a shocking tackle. Yeah, I know it's early, a minute into the game, but if you didn't stamp it out, then you've got another tackle like that. For me, 100% red card. I couldn't care less if it was a Hibs player that done it. It's a red card. And, you know, he can have no complaints. Just like Graham Alexander saying it's never a red card. What game are you watching? You know what I mean? Like, it's 100% a red card. And that's sort of what you were saying last week, Jack, on the podcast, is that Motherwell are a physical team. And we've seen that, you know, a couple of minutes later, Jordan Roberts does a very similar tackle to Ewan Henderson. I think it was Ewan Henderson anyway. And he gets booked. So this is why we need VAR in the game. You know, I'm not a big advocate for VAR, but we need consistency. Both of them are red card tackles. And when 7 minutes, Motherwell could be down to 9 men. So it's a shocking tackle, both of them. But the one that got red card, 100% a red.
Yeah, it's 100% a red for Big Mugabe, definitely. And he is a big lad. He likes to throw his weight about. And I think it was just utterly reckless. I think I agree. Well, up until a point, I agreed with what Kenny Miller said until he sort of went a bit off the rails and started saying he was retracting statements and everything like that. But anyway, it's no the Kenny Miller Slaughtering Opinions podcast. Anyway, it's no the Slaughtering Kenny Miller podcast. But I've got to say, yeah, I agree with Kenny Miller. It was utterly reckless. I mean, he didn't need to go flying. And like I tweeted out, I said, Motherwell shot themselves in the foot right then. They did.
It's a minute into the game. You didn't need to make a tackle like that. No, that I'm defending Mugabe by any stretch, but why is he making a tackle like that early into the game? I'd be annoyed if a Hibs player had got sent off that early into the game.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
You're a minute into the game. What I was taking for that, Graham Alexander probably said, let them know you're there for the first whistle. Well, Mugabe heard that and went one step too far, probably. But yeah, like it is the case. Like we've seen Porteous be sent off for a tackle very similar. So if that's a red card, did I think Porteous were a red card at the time? No, but if that's a red card, Mugabe's has to be a red card too.
Exactly, that's it. And I also think the thing is it's a consistency thing. Somehow it was a really exciting game of football, and somehow Willie Collum still managed to make himself the centre of attention, as he always does. I think how Roberts didn't get sent off. I'd argue that Roberts was slightly worse.
I think so.
Mugabe. It was slightly worse than Mugabe.
He does that every single time we play them, though.
Yeah, he does.
It must be the ex Hearts connection or what have you. But he done the same last time when I was at Fir Park in January there to Big Rocky. Like, he just shoves him like off the ball, shove into the advertising boards. Like, he's just a thug. And flip that on the other foot though, right? Say Porteous had done that to him. Porteous is off. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, I was surprised that Hibs had 11 on the pitch by the end, because that was probably the likely option, is that Colin might send the Hibs player off to even it out. But no, it was a shocking tackle.
It was. And then also another point, and Calvin actually got this point written up, which I think was a good point from Calvin, is talk about protecting players. You've seen what Starfelt did to Nisbet at Easter Road. I think that's why referees are giving red cards for these sorts of challenges more, because it is to protect players. You look at what Nisbet is now out for the rest of this season, and potentially quite a bit of next season as well, because of what Starfelt did to him. So it is about protecting players. So what's your view on that, Charlie?
I agree, mate, because you see Nisbet's out for 9 months now, like, with a bad tackle. So we've got to protect the players. You know what I mean? Like, we've got to do it.
Yeah, it was also quite an ill-tempered clash in general. Obviously, there was an incident with Macy where a Motherwell player tries to bully him, and then Macy suddenly
brushes past him, and he fucking throws himself down like he's been shot.
I think it was ridiculous. Motherwell's discipline was ridiculous for me. Utterly ridiculous. And Graham Alexander, to me, he just has a brass neck saying anything about our players when his players were just so ill-disciplined. And understand, like I said, Motherwell are a physical team. They like to let you know they're there and everything like that, but there's no excuse for a lot of what they were getting up to. So we'll move on and talk about the goals now. So talk about Melkerson's first goal, and it was great from Melkerson, great amount of awareness. So I was actually speaking to my dad about this when I got back from the Hibs Women game, and my dad had watched the game before I'd went out, and I was saying to my dad, and my dad agreed with this, and my dad actually made the point, as you saying, Nisbet I don't think would have scored that, which is interesting to see. I think Melkerson, good amount of awareness there, but Jasper, all credit to him for getting the assist on that as well. Excellent stuff from Jasper again. Jasper had another fantastic game. So Charlie, what was your views on that?
Fantastic, fantastic goal, fantastic movement for Melkerson as well to run across the keeper, like I've already said. That's what we'll be missing in a striker. I think though that, like, that's the type of goal that I want to see him score. I didn't want to see. Well, I love Jake Doyle-Hayes' goals against Ross County, but I didn't want to see goals like that every week. I want to see tap-ins or headers across the goal, or ones like that are just, they get the ball in the net. You know what I mean? Like, fantastic bit of movement for both, and great cross for Jasper as well. Like, that's what I want for my assists as well. Like, a brilliant cross, brilliant goal, and that sort of set us on our way.
Yeah, absolutely. It was absolutely fantastic for Jasper. Like I said, Elias, and it was great to see the away and just explode when Elias scored that, and he deserved that. You can see how much it meant to him as well. And I had a feeling when I seen he started, I said it guaranteed he'll score today.
Yeah.
And our good friend Reindeer Hot Dog, I know he'll be very, very happy as well. So I was happy for him. I was happy for him as well. But then we obviously go to the good Melkerson again, and this is what I knew we'd eventually get to with Maloney. That defence splitting pass. Melkerson's there, one-on-one with Kelly, calmly slots it home, cool as you like. 2-0 Hibs, we're in dreamland. Elias Melkerson, Erling Haaland, who, I mean, it was just brilliant. Charlie, give us your thoughts on that goal.
One thing you forgot to mention, mate, is it's on his weaker foot.
Of course.
It's on his weaker foot as well. But what?
I was too busy. I was too busy just jumping up and down the living room.
I know. Scott Allen, who with that pass? Scott Allen, who? That's
I know.
exactly what we've been missing.
I know, exactly.
I think we've got a replacement for Scott Allen and Jasper with those kind of passes.
Well, that was excellent. Defence splitting passing. We've been needing those incisive passes, and then you need something to get, because I don't think Doidge or Nisbet isn't really the player that gets the end on the end of these sorts of passes. Doidge and Nisbet have a sort of very different game. Elias, coming from Norway, that's the sort of style of football they play.
He looked so calm when he got the ball. Like he had time to think where he's going to place it, and he just blasts it past them. Like what a finish, what a player, and he's made his mark on the team already.
Yeah, he has.
One start, 2 goals. Like that's it. That's what we want for our new. We've paid not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things, but we've paid a good amount of money in our standards. Like we didn't usually pay 400 grand for a player.
Exactly.
So to get that for him on his first start, long may that continue.
No, exactly. And I was worried because I thought, right, we've signed him. Is he go? Are we getting a Haaland? Are we getting an Odegaard when he was at Real Madrid? Odegaard came to Real Madrid all hyped up and did absolutely nothing and ended up ruining his career. But he's done a Haaland, because look at Haaland scored twice in his debut for or his first start, sorry, for Red Bull Salzburg. So
true.
You never know. He could. I'm just saying. But yeah, I definitely was worried. Is this an Odegaard type situation where we've got a hyped up Norwegian player and he's not going to do anything? But he did something. He certainly did something. And fair play to him. So talk about Motherwell's goal. I think what I'd say for Motherwell's goal, just before I sort of go to you, Charlie, is I think we played ourselves into an unnecessary bit of trouble there. I mean, I think the goal's just a case of it's a bit scrappy from them. It's a bit of luck for them. Obviously, it threw them a bit of a lifeline. But I do think we played ourselves into some unnecessary trouble. And whilst we did play some good stuff yesterday, I still think there was a bit of that old, giving the ball away too cheap play, not seeming to realise that we don't play in claret and amber. That is Motherwell. You pass to the player in the Hibs shirt. There was a bit of that again, and then obviously I don't think there's anything Macy could have done differently in that situation. He was unlucky not to get to it. If it hadn't have hit off the inside of the post and in, Macy would have got to that. And the initial shot to me was actually looking like it was going to go wide, and then unfortunately the wind just sort of helped it on its way, and the Motherwell player was there to connect to it. So what did you think of that one, Charlie?
It's just a freak goal. Like it was, it looked. I was working, so I caught on TV. So it looked like it was pretty windy at the game. So I probably was a bit of wind. But nah, it's a goal that it could have been avoided. I think it might have been Joe Newell that had the ball in the box, try to clear it. If he'd put it out for a throw in, then it's probably doesn't finish 2-1, but Macy couldn't have done much better. He's at full stretch and he can't reach it. I wasn't too disheartened when I seen it hit the net. Obviously, it's a weird feeling seeing Hibs concede just now, because it's not that often that we do it just now. That was maybe our first goal conceded in 5 games, so it's not a common thing. So I don't think it could have been. I think it could have been avoided, but I don't think it could have been helped with the nature of the goal, because Efford just got a nice wee touch on it to put it past Macy. So, aye.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and a lot of people are obviously criticising Macy yesterday. I don't see why. I thought he'd done all the basics well. He's.
Don't think he had a bad game.
I don't think he had a bad game at all. I mean, obviously, it's always hard. I think for me, the only thing I'd say that I'd criticise him on is he's still a bit too slow when he's getting the ball. See how fast Kelly was throwing the ball back out to Motherwell players for them to sort of try and get on the counter. I would like to see a bit more. Obviously, I know we like to play out for the back, but I
think though there was flashes of that yesterday. He was quicker than he has been, but you're right. I think he can still be a bit quicker than what he has been as well.
Exactly. I do agree with you there, Charlie, mate. But we'll move on and sort of talk a bit about the second half. Obviously, second half, Calvin's got down that we put our foot off the gas a bit. Yeah, I wouldn't really agree with that, but I do think the second half, obviously, things slowed down a bit more in the game. We were just content to protect the lead, which is fair enough, I think. in a cup game, it's just about getting through. So you can afford to sort of try and protect the lead, in my opinion there. But yeah, I think second half things did get a bit hate him, scare him at times, but we still saw it out. And yeah, I think it was overall a solid second half performance. Obviously, nowhere near as good as the first half, but still, I think solid for us. I don't really feel that Motherwell threatened all that much. I mean, they did have a few points. Charlie, what were your thoughts on the second half?
I think I sort of agree with Calvin that I think we did take our foot off the gas, but I think that was to contain Motherwell and see the job out. Like, I don't think it was a bad performance second half, but I think we done what we needed to do in the second half to get through. It wasn't like we were struggling at any point. Like, I never had a fear that Motherwell might have scored again. And I think it's all right to take the foot off the gas sometimes when you're too, well, it would have been ideal if we were 2-0. We could have properly taken the foot off the gas, but no, I think it was good. I wasn't too dissatisfied at all with it. The second half performance, I think we done what we needed to do, mate, and that was get through, and we've done it. You look back at the Cove game, it doesn't matter that we were a few minutes away from penalties, we won. Same with Arbroath. We went 1-0 down, but we won. We conceded to Motherwell, but we won. Like, that's the argument here, that we're through, and I don't care about the performance as long as we get through.
Yeah, that's it. I think in a league game you could go always, you maybe went for the jugular or whatever. In the cup, it's literally about getting your hat in getting your name in the hat. It's as simple as that in the cup for me. If you
win 4-0 or 1-0,
it doesn't matter.
The league, obviously you get goal difference and what have you, but in the cup you're still in and we're back at Easter Road West next month. Like,
exactly.
What more do you want?
There you go, exactly. And I think another one for me is subs wise. I thought Maloney actually did a good job with the subs. A lot of people thought the subs were funny, but I think looking at with my sort of football manager cap on, if I've had ones where I have done it in Football Manager where I've been winning a game 2-1. I thought, I think bringing on Daz was actually a masterstroke.
It was a good shout.
Bringing on a bit of solidity, and Daz is not going to be afraid to get in there, throw his weight about, and get a bit of solidity. So that's what we need. So I think the subs are spot on as well. A lot of people saying, why was he subbing Mueller back off? Because Mueller's obviously had problems. I think, I've been hearing that he's had a little bit of a bug. So obviously he might not be ready to play a full 90. So you've got to protect the player. He's got to go with what he's comfortable with. Maloney obviously doesn't want him getting injured or exacerbating whatever he has wrong with him. So you've got to remember that, I think. I think the subs were spot on for me. So, Charlie, what were your thoughts on the subs?
Scott Allen should never play for Hibs again.
There's a strong opinion. People say we didn't have strong opinions. There's a strong opinion.
He was so bad when he come on. Like, I would have taken him back off after 2 minutes. He just nothing worked for him yesterday, and I know Calvin loves him, but I just think he's finished. Like, and it's a shame, but he's just finished. Like, I didn't. And there's people saying, I've seen people on Twitter saying Scott Allen should start over Dre Wright. Give me peace. Dre Wright offers more to this team than Scott Allen.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I think Scott, I wasn't impressed with him at all. I was not impressed with him at all. I don't think I'm going to go as far as you, because it's good. With our injury crisis right now, it's great to have as many bodies on the bench as possible.
No, for sure.
But I don't think Scott. I do think that his time at Hibs is done. Unfortunately, I think there is better players ahead of him, and it's unfortunate after all he's done. But we can't talk about sentiment FC when we extend Louis and Paul's contracts, but then try and defend Allen. I think that is hypocritical, because it's the people that did say sentiment FC when Louis' contract got extended, but refused to condemn Scott Allen. I do think that is a bit hypocritical for me. But yeah, so obviously that's us in the heart for the semi-finals. All very, very exciting. And an interesting start, obviously, if you follow Barlos the Heavy Cat on Twitter, you'll see that he put on a good stat that in the past 12 years, we've been to Hampden the second most times behind Celtic. We've had the most Hampden appearances behind Celtic, which is impressive. Obviously, we've not got much to show for it, apart from the Scottish Cup, which obviously was the crowning glory. But I think that is really, really interesting to see that. So great that we're going back. And hopefully we do have something to show for it this time. Hopefully the Scottish Cup will be coming back home. So there you go. That concludes our little review of the Motherwell game.
Who do you want in the semi, Jack?
Who do I want in the semi? You know what? I would like an Edinburgh Derby semi-final, and I'll tell you why. Because I think we could. I think this is our time. They laugh at us all the time. We've never beaten them at Hampden in however many hundreds of years, but I think this is our time. We've got an exciting team. We've got Sean Maloney, got an exciting manager. I think we're due one over Robbie Neilson. So I think this could be the big one. A bit of revenge for 2020 as well. Definitely, honestly, I think I would love a semi-final. I think I'd rather a Hearts semi-final than us playing them in the final, because if they beat us in a final again, I think it would overshadow 2016 if they beat us in a final again. So I think I'd love them in the semi-final, beat them, and then hopefully we get the Stickies in the final, beat them again. Because you imagine beating Hearts and Rangers on the way to a Scottish Cup. That would be outstanding.
We've done it before, mate. We've done it before.
Exactly. That would be absolutely outstanding. So I think we're capable of it.
Surprised
Charlie, who do you want in the semi?
Surprised you never said that you wanted the easiest team left in the competition, mate. I want Dundee United, eh? Dundee United again in the semi-final. Hopefully,
presuming that presuming that Ange Ball doesn't rip them on you.
No, I think all joking aside, I want anyone but Hearts, because I can't. I'd like, mate, give me Gears Rangers. We'll beat them already in a semi this year. Gears Rangers and Gears Celtic in the final, and we'll beat them.
I don't think that Hearts team could beat Celtic. I think they could edge it against Rangers. I don't think that Hearts side could beat Celtic in a semi-final, though.
I think they'd beat us, though, mate, to be honest. But
like I said, I think it's about high time we get one over on Robbie Neilson.
It's very true.
And B, it's about high time we beat them at Hampden. So yeah, I'm choosing to be optimistic there. So we'll move on to the other Motherwell game that happened this weekend. Obviously, Hibs women playing Motherwell, and it ended up being a Motherwell double in spectacular fashion. Hibs women winning 7-1, just the 7 goals.
Just the 7.
Just the 7 for Hibs women in that game. So, Charlie, do you sort of talk about this? Obviously, Hibs women, the league form hadn't been great heading into this one. So, were you confident heading into the game against Motherwell on yesterday?
Not at all. I think I predicted 1-1. I wasn't confident. Didn't see that coming for sure. But it shows that we've got it in us. But I wasn't confident.
Yeah, I absolutely. Well, I was confident, but I thought it'd be a much tighter game. Obviously, the last time we played them, it was 1-0. Made very hard work of it. Kirsty Morrison got the goal in that game, and that was it. I think it was a very difficult night at Pennycook Park. That one, obviously, the surface wasn't great and the conditions were like horrendous. But still, yeah, 1-0. A very physical, bad-tempered encounter the last time. So yeah, I was thinking, yeah, it's going to be a tight one. I said 2-1 Hibs. So to be fair, I was only 5 off the real score.
True.
But yeah, it was unexpected, to put in a good way. It was unexpected, to say the least. So move on and talk about starting 11. Obviously, Ailey Adams, her first start since that injury at Tynecastle. So Charlie, what was your sort of reaction to starting 11?
It was pretty positive, I would say, mate. Yeah, I think it was a pretty strong team. I was happy with the 2 up top as well. It's nice to see that we're back using the 2 up top. Having Ailey back's obviously helpful for that. But no, I think it was a good team. I think we'll come on to it in a wee bit, but seeing Alexa look a bit more positive with someone beside her was helpful for that. So I think, no, a great team, mate. Great lineup.
Yeah, I think the starting 11 for me was spot on. I think I was quite interested to see we were going with 3 at the back again. That was interesting. I would have liked to have seen Jenna maybe start again, but fair play, Jenna got on and she did a good job when she came on. I actually got to finally, Jenna's mum and dad follow the podcast account. I actually finally got to meet them again. They come all the way down from Aberdeen to watch Jenna which is fair play to them. That's great to see.
Well, at least they picked a good game to come and watch.
Yeah, at least they picked a good game. I was saying that they need to come more often, but that it was a good game for them to see. And obviously Jenna got some minutes, and I think she did a good job when she did come on. Yeah, it was the two up top made the difference for me. Really unleashed the potential of, and I think we've been missing Ailey ever since she got injured, because Ailey's got a brilliant hunger out on the pitch. She's got a good ethic out on the pitch, and we've been needing that. So it's great to see Ailey play alongside Alexa. I think Alexa looked a lot more comfortable with her strike partner. They two could sort of play off each other. And it also meant that we were playing more centrally as well, that we're trying to get more through the middle to Alexa, which is what she benefits from, which is great to see. So, yeah, I think the two up top really helped. So, obviously, we started well, scored early. I think it was only about 5 or 6 minutes into the game and Alexa got her first goal. So, Alexa, yeah, she was sent one-on-one with the keeper, calm as you like, through the Motherwell keeper's legs. And, 1-0 Hibs. Excellent stuff from Alexa. So, that, Charlie, for you, how good is that we started positively and scored early after sort of really struggling against Spartans and Aberdeen and Glasgow City?
It just shows you with a more direct approach the goals come. And I think that's the same with the men yesterday for part two. I think Hibs are better when they're direct, and that's the case with the men and the women. When we're a direct team, we're much better to watch. We're much better on the front foot. We're much better defensively. And I think getting that early goal probably calmed a little bit of nerves, because obviously coming in from a bad defeat against Spartans, let's not beat around the bush. The girls would have been looking to get an early goal and get a big performance, and they got both of that. So, yeah, I think the early goal probably was a good benchmark as to how the game was going to go.
Yeah. I'll also say that, after that, the sort of floodgates opened. So I'd like to sort of touch on a goal. It's always great to see your captain score. Joelle with a wonder goal. And funnily enough, out of all the games I've been to and went to get pies, out of all the games I've been to get pies, and I missed a Joelle screamer. Luckily, I managed to see a replay of the goal on our good friends Recast. They have all the highlights up. So if you do fancy signing up to Recast, you get all your Hibs women highlights there. So, yeah, do sign up if you want to see a Joelle win the strike. Yes, I think Joelle, it was great to see Joelle scoring. For anybody that says, older players, they didn't need them and everything like that, I've got to remind you that Joelle has been at the club for well over 20 years. And she's still scoring goals. She's still putting in solid performances. So I just wanted to touch on that. And Amy Gallacher as well. Great to see her back amongst the goals. She got herself 2 goals yesterday. Fantastic from Amy. A penalty as well. Although we were saying it was interesting, Alexa, who is her usual penalty taker, wasn't allowed a chance to get her hat-trick.
True.
But it was interesting. Amy's penalty was very well struck. I like to say, though, Motherwell just did not look like their usual selves. I think they were getting overrun in midfield quite a lot. They were struggling with our pressure, especially when we got it through the middle. They did not deal with that well at all. I think, Leanne Crichton and their other centre half were having rings ran around them. It was interesting because usually Leanne Crichton gets played properly in defence. It looked like she was getting played in front of the back line as to sort of try and protect her. I don't think Leanne's got the legs for that anymore. To be honest, I think as an older player, you'd want to play her fully back, sort of like a sweeper or something like that. I don't think you should be playing her in sort of front of the back line like that. But like I said, we're not a Motherwell podcast, so it's not for me to dissect what Motherwell were doing tactically. All I know is we ripped them a new backside. And then I think it could have easily been more than 7 if it wasn't for Motherwell's keeper. She made some good saves. But yeah, a great level of pressure. It was a real team performance as well. It wasn't just every single player on the pitch did their part. And it was also great to see Ria come on as well. Ever since Ria got recalled, I think she's been deserving of her chances. Ria came on and Ria was absolutely fantastic. I was happy to see Ria back in amongst the team. She's a good player, Ria. Big future for the girl. And I think it was great to see her there as well. And sort of a point I wanted to touch as well, Charlie, is Alexa stepped up. She stepped up big time because it wasn't just the 2 goals she scored. She was putting in an excellent shift. So what are your thoughts on that? Is it good to see Alexa back amongst the goals and putting in such a good shift again after a few sort of, what she'd probably admit herself, less than satisfactory games from her?
It is, mate. I think it's something that me and Calvin have been saying. You're you're a friend of Alexis, so you're quick to defend her. But I think me and Calvin would say that, and it's the same when we're talking about football in general. You want your strikers to be scoring goals because that's really their main job on the pitch. And I think it's nice to see her scoring against our Premiership team, if you can, SWPL 1. It's nice to see her getting goals because really the bulk of our goals this season have been in the cup or against the smaller teams. So it's nice to see her getting a goal or 2 goals in the league, and hopefully that's the kickstarter for the rest of the season. I don't know how many games are left in the season. Jack, you'll be able to tell.
It's not long now. I think we're coming up for the finishing straight.
So that maybe is always a good time of year to get a goal. You see how, in past when Canberra or McLaren were at Hibs, that's the ones that come straight to mind when they came in, and from January till the end of the season they were banging the goals in, and it helped us in our quest for potentially finishing second that year. So, hopefully in Alexa's case, she can get some goals and get some more goals, and even set up some goals as well, because hopefully we're going to be looking at finishing. We didn't want to finish lower than 4th, so we're going to need to start scoring goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, it was great to see, obviously, Amy Gallacher got player of the match, her turn provider as well. She got the assist for quite a few as well. So obviously, Amy deservedly player of the match. It was difficult for me to pick out a player of the match. Amy deserved the official one, I think. I think you could say that Alexa wouldn't have been far behind in the same way Ailey, but yeah, it was just so great to see a really good performance. Also, that's our biggest win in the league this season as well. Before that, it had actually been our win against Motherwell previously, the 4-0 at the start of the season. So to get a big sort of good old-fashioned Hibs women win there, it was like the good old days when we had Chelsea Cornet and Grant Scott, and it was genuinely like watching that team again. The sort of football we were playing. I think obviously a lot of Hibs fans are reminiscent of our in terms of the mains of the 17-18 season team. As a Hibs women fan, I was reminiscent of the I'd always say I'm reminiscent of the 16-17 team when we had Chelsea Cornet and Kirsten Riley and a young Joelle and all those sorts of players, and Abby Harrison and Lisa Robertson, and yeah, so I think we were genuinely like that team again. Ripping Motherwell to shreds, and we're ruthless, absolutely ruthless. And that's what we've been needing. We've been needing a big 3 points out of that. And obviously, we've got 2 very tough games coming up as well, in the form of Hearts and Partick. So, it's great to get 3 points and get the confidence booster back. So it was excellent to see the girls back to winning ways. Very much deserved. A great team performance. 7 very well taken goals as well. So yeah, overall, I think we deserved it. We really did deserve it. It's great to see us back to winning ways. So just before we move on to previewing our trip up to Pit Audrey, we've got 2 bits of news for the women's team. We'll get the bad news out the way first. Unfortunately, the club just announced that Tony Malone has terminated their contract by mutual consent. So that means Tony will be leaving the club effective immediately, which is really, really sad to hear. I think Tony was an excellent player, a really exciting player to watch when she did get her chances, which I think, that's why she's left. Obviously, she wasn't getting her chances. She's too good of a player to sit on the bench all the time. But anytime I saw Tony play, she was excellent. And off the pitch, a really nice person to speak to. I did an interview with her for my YouTube channel, and it is honestly the most hilarious thing I've done. Didn't stop laughing all the way through, and she always had a smile and a hello for the fans after a game. She was always very appreciative of people's support. She'd always come up and speak to people after the games, and she'd always have a good chat. And obviously, there was a time, I seen both her and Alexa at Easter Road, and they came and said hello, which was nice of them. So yeah, it's really sad to hear Tony leaving. I think there's a player that we could really do with right now, especially since we got the good news about Rachel Boyle. Rachel Boyle's obviously, we'd like to congratulate her on her second child coming soon. So there's another wee Boyle for you. Well, you've got a wee Boyle already, Martin, but there's another wee Boyle coming as well. So yeah, so Rachel's getting her third bairn, because having Martin is like another bairn. I do think we needed another midfielder with Rachel. Obviously, that's Rachel going to be out for a considerable amount of time now, obviously. Because not just after you've had the baby, obviously there's the time to recover from having a child as well. So obviously we needed another midfielder like Tony. So it's sad that she's going. but I understand why she's doing it. You know, I do understand that she's not wanting to sit around on the bench. Obviously, I assume she'll probably go back to Europe. I think she maybe suits the style of football again. You know, I've heard a few things that she might be going back to Austria. She might be going to Germany. So I've heard a few stories here and there. Obviously, we can't verify them. It is up to Tony, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see where she goes next, and we wish her all the best in what she does next. So, Charlie, what are your thoughts on Tony leaving? Obviously, a bit of a shock news. Yeah, so yeah, it was a bit of a shock, wasn't it? Seeing her.
Aye, it was, mate. I think she's just as good as the midfielders we've got on the team. So, you know, to see her on the bench every week was a bit of a shame. But obviously, she is looking to play football. Like, you're not in football, it's on the bench, are you? So it makes sense why she's left. And, you know, from us at the podcast, and I think from every Hibs fan of the women's team, they'll be sad to see her go and wish her all the best for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other bit of news is Rosie Livingston was involved in Scotland's under-17s big win over Azerbaijan in the little qualification tournament they're having out in Albania. So a massive well done to Rosie and the 17 squad as well. It's great to see them getting big wins. Obviously, they got a big win over former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia as well. So they're a big win over Azerbaijan. So a massive well done to Rosie. So we'll quickly blitz through our Aberdeen preview. So obviously, Charlie, 3 points needed heading up to Pit Audrey. Are you confident?
Yes, I am. After beating Motherwell yesterday, I think we need to carry the momentum into the rest of the season. So I am confident, mate. I am.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think Aberdeen obviously are in. I mean, to say they're in the doldrums would be a bit of an understatement, to be honest. But yeah, Aberdeen, I think, have been no cope this season. I think Jim Goodwin sort of steadied the ship, but I think he's been too little, too late for me from Aberdeen point of view. So I'm confident. I think we'll go up there. We'll make it difficult for ourselves, but I think we'll go out there and we'll win because we know we need a win. And we know the league form because there's a point between 4th and 9th. So we need to start winning games.
Yep.
Because, you know, there's that danger there. So line-up wise, Charlie, do you think Melkerson should start? And apart from him, what are we going to see in terms of the starting 11?
Should be the exact same team that started yesterday, mate, at Fir Park. We shouldn't. Actually, that'll not be true because Doig and Henderson got injured. So we'll see some changes. I think you're probably looking at Stevenson back at left wing back, and then maybe. Well, it's hard. Do we have another centre midfielder? We might see a change in system, which would be a shock. But I think apart from that, it'll probably be very, very similar to what we've seen at Motherwell yesterday.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to stick with the exact same team for me, actually. Obviously, minus Doig because he might be out for quite a little while.
Well, apparently it was an impact injury, so it should hopefully be back for
the
Dundee United game.
Hopefully he'll be back, but I don't see him. Obviously, I don't see him playing at Pit Audrey. No, I can't see that happening at all. So hopefully, you know, you've got Louis there, but we might switch to playing 3. I don't know. We possibly could see that, which will be interesting. I think Melkerson should start. So I think it'll be the same team. And so very quickly, Charlie, what are your score predictions?
2-0 Hibs.
I'm going to say 1-0 Hibs. I'm going to say 1-0 Hibs. Melkerson to get the goal.
I think Melkerson and Jasper for me, hopefully.
Hopefully, that would be good. That would be good. So there you go. So just to finish us off for tonight, Charlie is the quiz master for the Hibee quiz. And since he's a dopey bugger and couldn't think of any questions about the women's team, apparently, they're all about the men. So I'm going to get...
Well, it would have been too easy, mate, if I'd done that.
To be fair, it would have for me. So we've got some questions there. So Charlie, take it away. I'm ready.
I just want to say, mate, it would have been too easy if I'd just went 3-3 because you know everything about the women's team. So I've went to make it a wee bit hard. So first question. During Hibs' first European campaign, which saw them reach the semi-finals of the European Cup, how many goals did Eddie Turnbull score?
Oh, now you're asking. Right, I know he scored twice against Rot-Weiss Essen, in Essen, and then he scored against Djurgårdens as well. That Swedish side. I'm going to take a pop and say he scored 8 goals.
8?
Yep.
He scored 4.
I thought he'd scored against Ream as well, but I don't think he did.
He scored 4. So next question, you're 0 for 1. The first ever competitive Edinburgh derby was in the Scottish Cup on the 22nd of September, 1877. It ended goalless and went to a replay. What was the score in the replay?
I'm going to just take a random guess here. I remember it well, actually. Got the horse and cart through from old Livingston Village because I hadn't built the railway line yet. I remember it. No, I'm going to say I was pissed at that game, so I can't remember. I'm going to say they probably no. Well, if you're asking me, we probably won. I'm going to say 3-0 Hibs.
It was the famous scoreline that was on Twitter in the summer there. It was actually 2-1 Hibs.
Oh, there you go.
So you're 0 for 2, mate. I have made this difficult.
Yeah, I made this difficult.
So
1877.
Okay. Who was the first player to score a hat-trick for Hibs in European competition?
Right, it's got to be one of the famous five, surely. It's got to be, now, actually, first Hibs player. I'm going to say Joe Baker.
It was another Joe. It was Joe McBride. Oh, mate, you're 0 for 3 here.
This isn't looking good, is it?
Right, you'll hopefully get this one. Who scored Hibs' only goal during their tie against Dnipro in 2005/6?
The one, the only, Big Deek.
It was. There you go. 1 for 4. 1 for 4. Derek Riordan in a 5-1 aggregate loss. Anyway, moving on to number 5. During the season 2000 and 2001, Hibs had how many players from Trinidad and Tobago?
Oh Christ! I'm sure we had 2. There was Latape and the other boy.
You're right, Latape and Lyndon Andrews. We had 2.
Now I've just got to say I was still a snap condom away from being born then, so you can't ask questions like that. I was that was just before my. No, I knew it was. I can't remember the other boy's name, but
Lyndon Andrews.
Lyndon Andrews, but I remember Latape, obviously.
So here we go. Here's the last one. After the 1943-44 South League Cup final ended goalless between Hibs and Rangers, Hibs were awarded the victory. How was the match decided?
What year was it?
1943-4.
Who could shoot down the most Messerschmitts?
No,
I'm kidding.
No.
That was a joke. How the match? I'm going to say it was golden goal.
It wasn't, mate. It was a pretty unique way of a game being decided. It was actually on how many corners the team had won. So Hibs had 6 and Rangers had 5. So we won the cup.
Just as well, it wasn't penalties. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
We won the South League Cup on corners. So there we are, mate. You got 2 for 6, which is decent. Good effort.
Like I said, I was too pissed at that 1877 game. I remember it.
You would have got that if you were.
If I was sober then. Because the horse and cart journey through, it's obviously it took about 8 hours. So I told him to have a wee tipple, eh? So,
Jack, am I right in thinking that we'll be back this week at some point?
We will be back this week at some point. We're keeping our cards close to our chest, but we potentially have another guest coming on soon. Keep your eyes peeled also for our interview with Boozy coming out at some point. Obviously, we interviewed Boozy at Easter Road. Privileged to have done that. So thank you to the club for helping organise that. Really enjoyed it. And I'm sure I speak for Charlie and Calvin there as well, that they both really enjoyed it. So, yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that. And we will have another special guest, hopefully, on this week as well. So do keep your eyes peeled for that. But until next time, folks, thank you for listening, and glory to the Hibees.